Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This week, I got to chat with actor James Chen about what it's like to play Sam Chung in Season 2 of Iron Fist, his journey from Yale student to working actor, and his return to police procedurals in the new Dick Wolf series FBI. Hope you enjoy.
Hey, what's up, Les?
Hey, thanks so much for taking out the time today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, man, it's great to talk to you. Yeah, my pleasure.
So you are playing Sam Chung on Iron Fist Season 2?
Yes, sir.
Can you talk a little bit about going out for that audition process and getting the role? I understand it can be a little secretive sometimes on the Marvel Netflix shows.
Yeah, it's true. God, it was like towards the end of a very busy and hectic fall of last year where this audition came in, and I had actually auditioned for that show once or maybe even twice before earlier, like that month. And another one came in, and I just remember things being like so busy, and I had like not a lot of time to prepare for this particular audition. I was actually helping my other friend with her audition, and then it was like getting super late. It was like 11 o'clock at night, and I was like, oh, wait, I need you to help me put this thing up on tape. And there were various names in this, these audition sides, like, so the character of Mrs. Yang, I think, was called something else, like Mrs. Chang or something like that. And which that was their code, I guess, for Mrs. Yang, trying to keep it a little bit mysterious. But it was actually extremely, like, preparation-wise, it was, like, very kind of chill and off the cuff, and I wasn't, like, over-stressing about it, which is not always the case. I think it might have just been a good, like, it's the luck that, I happened to be, like, chill at the end of the day, not overthinking it, relaxed, and just really like speaking and having a great conversation with my friend who was playing Colleen. And then I think I found out maybe a week or two later that, like, I was pinned, and then a little bit after that I found out I was on hold, and then finally I did find out I booked it. And that was very exciting. And it's like when you least expect it, I feel like that's really when things come through.
You've also upcoming. You've got a role on upcoming show FBI, which I mean, by a little known producer named Dick Wolf. I'm sure it's just a pilot that might get picked up. There's
What's his name?
right. There's so much longevity attached to that guy's work record.
Yeah.
Was there any kind of additional butterflies in your stomach about just his name attachment on the show, or did you know going into that audition?
I did. You know what's crazy, Les, is I actually did 7 episodes of a recurring character on his other show, Law and Order SVU.
Yeah, you were Adrian Sung, CSU Adrian Sung on Law and Order SVU.
That's right. So I was familiar with the Dick Wolf production, the procedural, the machinery of that well-oiled machine that is SVU, and the amazing casting director for that show that cast me in that role, Jonathan Strauss, over here in New York. He brought me in for this role on this new. I don't even think it had a title at that point, called FBI. This new Dick Wolf procedural, and I think it's because I knew so little about it. I was like, kind of cool about it. I knew it was very well written. I was able to read it, but I've known Jonathan for, that time's maybe like 9 years. So I feel like super comfortable, just being in his office, talking to him. He's an amazing person. He's great to read with as far as, as an actor acting opposite someone in a casting room. It's not always like, you're not always like receiving a very present energy. But Jonathan's fantastic. His associate, Rebecca, was also in the room. It just was a very relaxed environment for me. So Yeah, I just feel like I lined up really well.
Knowing that you had been on a previous Dick Wolf production, I'd kind of wondered if you were going to be playing the same character transferred or something. I mean, with Law and Order SVU being such a heavy homicide tie-in and all the cool kind of shared universeness of it, but you were playing a new character on FBI, is that right?
That's correct. I didn't even think about that. That's a really good, because that absolutely could have been possible. I guess if Mariska shows up in the FBI world, we'll have to ask some other kinds of questions,
Should just pause a minute and like, really? No, I don't. You're not you.
It's like, I go by Ian now.
Don't say anything.
Who's Adrian? I don't know who that is. That was a Korean guy. I'm a Chinese guy now.
Just throw it back at her. What?
Yeah. And then she'll immediately go up to like the head of the FBI and be like, you got a problem here in your office.
You did your MFA at Yale Drama. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That is not a lie. Yeah.
When you were a kid, I know you also have classical piano in your background. You do martial arts. At what point? I know there always comes a point where you may have to focus down on something like that, or declaring a college major, or going off to grad school. What was the thought process in winnowing that down, or what helped you make that decision to focus on acting?
Yeah, wow, that's a great question and not so short story. I'll try to. So I really did not grow up. No one in my immediate family does the arts. I have an uncle who is a director, but I didn't. To kind of give you an example of how like strict my dad was about academics over art. It was like anytime my director uncle came to visit, he had a talk. I found this out many years later, but like he made sure he had a specific private talk with my uncle to be like, you are not talking to my son about what you do. All right, now welcome, and it's good to see you. And so it really wasn't until I got to college that I got to explore kind of these instincts and desires and curiosities about acting that I've had for a while, just growing up in Long Island. And but I had matriculated I was going to UPenn undergrad in West Philly, and it's so interesting. Like UPenn is more of like a kind of like a pre-professional, pre-vocational kind of school. Like everyone is usually pre-law, pre-med, pre-vet, pre-dentist, like business, etc. And so I was in a 4-year biochemistry master's program that I had to, for lack of anything else, to, I guess, select in the application process. That at the time in high school, that was kind of where I had accrued kind of like this very nerd-tastic list of like extracurricular genetics courses. Don't ask me why or how that happened. So I wound up selecting that before getting into undergrad. I was pursuing that program in undergrad, and then as I was exploring acting for the first time extracurricularly, and just over the course of 4 years, it was like the scales tipped in the other direction. Like I kept doing more and more theater and less science. I was like skipping organic chemistry lab to go write and direct this play. Instead of studying for midterms, I was on the internet trying to figure out directions from like this subway that will connect to this bus, and then I'll catch a taxi to get to this place when I had a call to work a job. So yeah, like before I graduated, I had even gotten like a local like agent down there. So I was working, and as soon as I graduated, I wound up getting an econ degree, and then I immediately got a job as a busboy in Philly. I stayed in Philly, and I was like bussing tables and preparing for grad school auditions and doing theater in Philadelphia. And I kind of wanted to take a test year, my first year out of undergrad, to see if the life of an actor is really something that I can live with, that I would enjoy. And I just loved it immediately. And I loved the work, and I loved studying the craft. And Meryl Streep was always my favorite actor growing up. So when I found out she went to Yale, and I went and visited and did a lot of research and met the students and the faculty there, it was really my first choice. And was very fortunate. I had like an amazing teacher to help me prep for those auditions, and I guess the rest is history.
Do you remember, was there a particular role you got to do on stage in undergrad, or part you were going for where you realized like, this is it, I'm doing this is what I have to focus on and do?
That's a good question. We did a production of The Lion in Winter in my junior year or something like that, where I played Prince Philip. I think it was Prince of France. And not necessarily that, like, I just felt like something shifted as far as the level of seriousness with which myself and all my castmates and the director were all taking the work. So, I guess as young as we were, as I guess quote unquote amateur as we all were in the craft of what we were doing, something about our mutual collective focus and enthusiasm and passion, like, made that an experience that made the work go to just a different level. And it felt like it was just one of those experiences of flow where you love what you're doing and you're just getting so immersed in it. And that was new and really exciting and fun too, So that was certainly one of the memorable milestones on that journey to deciding, like, this is what I'm going to do. I think it was kind of a collection of moments like that.
Have you had a favorite professional moment so far that kind of helped it click for you inside that no, I'm doing this. This is my job.
Yeah. Or was there one where it's like, why am I doing this? Yeah, actually, a few years ago, I was in this one of the leads in this amazing independent feature film called Front Cover that we shot in New York City. And so I mentioned Meryl Streep earlier, and one of the reasons I was and am just so struck by what she does is her transformational ability. And one of the reasons I loved the program at Yale is because it was like a very rigorous classical, quote unquote, classical theater training program. I guess classical because they strictly use like theater material, but it's a very like rigorous, thorough program that involves not just acting classes, but a lot of instrument work, voice, speech, movement, body, physique. And so in that, when you come out of school, you're not necessarily asked to transform so much right away, especially for TV and film auditions. It's when you have maybe 24 hours to prepare for something, it's like usually going to be closer to perhaps some version of yourself, right? But in this particular case, I was playing a film actor from Beijing, China. I mean, I'm from New York State, total like ABC. So it was a really incredibly satisfying, rewarding experience to invest in like the physicality, the speech, like the mannerisms, the thought, to have like over a month of time to do research on reading books and memoirs and rehearsing and having like in-depth conversations with the director, who was also a writer. And then eventually when the film came out, for it to be something that we were also proud of. And to be able to like take that film to festivals and have people come up to me after the Q&A and be like, wow, I'm sorry, I thought you were an actor from China, like, but you're clearly speaking American English right now. Like that, it's moments like that you feel like, great, I did what I sought out to do, which was, I guess, to try to, as much as possible, just understand and become who this guy is. So that was an artistic highlight for sure.
For those that don't know, that movie's kind of a two-man show. It's Bing and, is it Ryan, the other character?
Yeah, Bing
and
Ryan, yeah.
And their burgeoning relationship and identity issues that brings up. I had read that you had gone for the role of Ryan originally. Is that? Yeah.
Oh, you have done your research, sir. You've been talking to Donna DeSeta, our casting director?
did that factor in? Did the challenge of Bing's different heritage than yours factor into wanting that role, or kind of what went into the decision of ending up with Bing instead?
Well, I guess ultimately,
or was that your decision? I guess.
well, right, yeah, it was. I wish. Well, I mean, it wasn't. Ultimately, it was the director's decision, right? I guess he chose me to play Ning, but one thing that was super interesting about that audition, I have to say, is I was given the script and the sides for both the American-born Chinese character Ryan and the Chinese character Ning, and I was told to choose which one I wanted to audition for, which you never get that chance. And I thought it was interesting because when I read the script, I first of all, like Ray Young, our writer and director, I thought he wrote a really amazing script, and he understood those characters so well that their authenticity really leapt off the page. And because of that, I felt like there were a lot of entry points into both of those characters. I mean, Ryan, obviously, because he's an ABC like me, and it's always, I think, a gray area and like constantly evolving search for identity if you are an ethnic American here in the U.S. Mm-hmm. But the character of Ning was like incredibly fascinating too, and I'd visited China, and my parents are Chinese, and I studied Mandarin in college, and had recently started to pick it up again, just as an actor in New York. So there was just a lot of curiosity, and I had this acting teacher once who spoke about this idea of blood memory, that even though anyone might grow up in, let's say, America, like maybe they have lineage to some other country with other cultures and like a lineage of past ancestors and those people. And he called that blood memory, that perhaps there's something you intrinsically understand or innately gravitate towards or somehow just get, and because of something that could be conceivably passed down from generation to generation. I don't know if that was active in that moment, but I certainly felt that there was just a kind of like a very calm, confident understanding of what Ning was, combined with what our writer Ray Young had crafted him as in the writing. So all that to say is, I was very excited. I would have been very excited to explore both of them. I initially chose to do Ryan in the first audition that I went to. I auditioned as Ryan, and then I was asked to audition again. I think I might have gotten a call back as Ryan too. I'm not sure. Then I was asked to audition for Ning. I think there was a call back there too. But eventually, when we did chemistry reads, it was for Ning. And yeah, I feel like I don't know, in a parallel universe, like I would have loved, like there's a version where I'm playing Ryan. Like I feel like that experience is in me too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'll have to go there in the parallel universe machine.
Well, I haven't gotten to see all of Iron Fist season 2 just yet, but I know who Samuel Chung was in the comics as Blind Spot.
Nice.
And I would have said last season that I would have never gotten to see Misty's mechanical arm from the comics, and I was totally wrong there. So, do you think there's a shot of us getting to see you in a rather cool super suit? In the comics, I think Blind Spot's got a pretty high-tech suit fighting alongside.
Yeah, totally. No, it is the coolest. Blind Spot is like one of the coolest freaking characters. That's an excellent question. I feel like it's on everyone's minds right now. There's a lot of like articles and conversation about it going on in social media, and rightly so. I think we're at a super kind of like charged and important time in Asian American history with Crazy Rich Asians coming out, and like I think I literally just read an article that it surpassed. It has become the number one box office movie for Warner Brothers this year, which is out of control. Great. Yeah, it surpassed like Ready Player One. Sorry, Steven Spielberg.
I'm sure his career will rebound.
But the Asians are coming. We are here. Like John Cho is crushing it with Searching. I don't know if you had a chance to see Searching, but
No,
it is
but it looks
incredible.
spectacular. Yeah.
Oh, please, it's one of, honestly, not even joking, like maybe one of the best movies I've seen in the past couple years. All this to say is, I think it would be absolutely fantastic to see Blind Spot realized in the Marvel universe, and just as a hero for Asian Americans and Asians in our country. Like growing up, I did not really have that, and kind of like dovetailing of what we were talking about before with like growing up and identity. I don't know if you've read any of the articles about Crazy Rich Asians, but so many people are reporting, they're being filled with tears and emotion of just to see Asian faces and like an all Asian cast with an Asian writer and an Asian director telling an Asian story. It's so meaningful. Like we didn't even realize how starved we were for it. And I think especially as a child, it's so important to have that growing up. Somehow it just like gives validity to your existence, and like you could absolutely immediately identify with that more. Not to mention the fact that I just personally love martial arts, and I'm obviously a nerd because I went to Penn to study biochem. So I just think that character Blind Spot itself is amazing. So I'm just really happy to engage with everyone out there who is talking about that and is excited about it. I'm also excited about it, and let's just keep that conversation going.
Man, I can't thank you enough for taking out the time today. I really appreciate getting to chat with you.
Oh, that was so fun. I can't believe it's over already.
Well, have a great rest of your afternoon, man.
Oh, thanks. You too. Take care.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener-supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter @TVDudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.